Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lesson 2 with Steve Rogat about lucid dreaming. In Lesson 1, which you'll find in the show notes, we talked about the background information that you can use to help you with learning how to lucid dream. Now, we've gone beyond just the standard advice that you can find from other places, and we want to talk about lucid dreaming as a state of mind and a state of being and a relationship that you cultivate with this part of yourself where you are entering into and interacting with when you are in a lucid state. Now, I have Steve Rogat with me. He is a body healer, an energy worker, a trance medium, and a funny guy from Long Island. And he is also a longtime lucid dreamer. He has come at learning how to lucid dream from a perspective that is more on the shamanic side. So when I say shamanic, I'm referring to, for example, Carlos Castaneda's book, The Art of Dreaming, where you learn to use the
Uh-huh.
dream state and to cultivate it for exploring yourself. And as Steve said in lesson number 1, he started spontaneously lucid dreaming. He didn't ask for this experience, it just started happening to him when he was a teenager.
No,
And he
not at all.
discovered that he could use it for reprogramming his thoughts and his feelings. So he has used lucid dreaming as a healing tool and also for expansion of himself as a conscious being. In other words, Steve, you've
Yeah,
learned more about yourself through lucid dreaming and what you really are beyond just the physical
hopefully.
person that you are. Hopefully, you've also learned this deeper aspect of yourself and interacting with yourself in the lucid state. And that's going to get us into today's lesson because I want to talk more about what you have learned about what a dream really is. There's kind of the psychology
Mm,
side of it, and they say that dreams
uh-huh.
are sleep mentation. This comes right from the medical literature. It's
Yes.
thoughts that you have while you're asleep. Now, we know that there is more going on while you're dreaming, and that you can enter into these levels of dreaming that take you deeper and deeper into, we'll just say, other realities or
Well,
realities that are there and normally not accessed. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that because I can tell you're
well,
ready to go.
I mean, it's an interesting, well, that dreams are just mentations of your thoughts, and then there's the Maori that says the waking world is actually the dream world. This is dream time. Okay. And then when we go to sleep, then that might not be, that might not be dream time because it's all the same. I guess my part of my journey was to interpret reality as a dream, the waking reality as a dream. So therefore, where was the line when I'm dreaming? I start interpreting that as if it's reality. If I interpret and I say, quote, reality as a dream, then I can interpret dream as reality, and the lines really blur. I mean, and I know as kids, little children, sometimes a dream is just as real as their waking life, which is interesting because then as an adult, being trained and participating in active dreaming, it is almost as real as waking life. And sometimes, again, it's even realer. I mean, I need to asked my wife. I said, I had a dream. At least I think it was a dream. Okay. Did this really happen or did you really say this? And she says, no, I don't remember that. So I said, well, obviously you didn't have the same dream. Okay. Um, so when we're talking about interpreting, using it, just like, well, what does that reflect in my life? What does the dream reflect in my life? That's the psychological thing as far as symbolically. And I know some really good. people that are good with dream interpretations, but then what? Okay, it's like, okay, I was just given a message in the dream. Now, what do I want to do with that? Not only in waking life, but in the dream life as well. What do I want to do with that? I'll give you an example. We've been thinking of moving to a different house or a different location. And I had this dream. I guess, dream vision that I'm looking around for places to live, and all of a sudden everything stops, and I hear the voice. The voice. It says, well, you could sell your house now for a bunch of money, but you'd have to live someplace temporarily because your new house isn't ready yet. And it's like, okay, thanks. And, now, can I get back to dreaming now? Okay. Um, Now, what am I going to do with that in waking life? And I put that in quotes. Just assume that whenever I say waking life, it's in quotes. Um, what am I going to do with that? And then in the dream life, what am I going to do with that? So I actually went back to the dream to program it that I can live somewhere temporarily and I'm totally safe. Or I am living somewhere temporarily and everything is fine. Again, it's programming. So what am I programming? Am I programming the dream or am I programming waking life? Okay, so now because of me and what I do and the impatience and whatever else, my wife and I kept on looking for a place. And then last night I had a dream that we were looking around this lake and we looked at one place and we looked at another place and we looked at another place and another place. And it was like, wait a second here, folks. I mean, I stopped the dream right in the middle and said, I don't have to do this because we've been looking for a permanent house, And it's like, wait a second. I remember the other dream that the other house, my new house, isn't ready. So what am I doing? What am I doing? And basically what went on after that in the dream, I looked at so many places. It was a spider web and I was caught in the middle. And then needed to remind myself, wait a second. I don't need to look for a permanent house right now. And at which point all the spider webs just dissipated and I got to walk through the woods having a great time. So, what are we going to do with that in real life? We're going to the woods tomorrow.
Yeah.
And to take a walk without looking for a house. Yeah.
So the webs are this, caught up in this field of thought that says you've got to sell the house, you've got to find a new one. And instead, you're realizing that all of this is being taken care of by something else that wants you to find the right home for yourself. It can
That's
see
right.
ahead in the future and know when that time is. And it's
No,
saying,
they're
well,
not.
you
No,
have.
that would be too easy.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
And
but
it knows when this place is going to become available. So you can just kind of chill in the meantime and wait for things to unfold because you know that you're going to end up in the place where you
that's right. That's
belong.
right. And in the dream itself, I actually remembered the previous dream, which helped me to wake up in the current dream.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happened the very next day. Somebody said, well, why don't you check out this lake? And I checked out the lake and there was property for sale real cheap and we might build a house. And it's like, oh, I guess our new house isn't ready yet. So
Yeah.
it opened up some opportunities. Um, just being aware of the dream.
So here we
Um,
have, we can pull some advice out of this for our viewers is that you are engaging with the dream while you're dreaming and you're becoming conscious of the fact that you are dreaming, but you're allowing things to unfold. And now you are more like an interested observer. You're
Yes.
allowing the dream to kind of speak to you, but you're more conscious now than just in the ordinary dream state when you're being pulled along by things and you have no ability to respond in a way that's more conscious. So
Yeah.
this is
Well,
one of the things that we're learning about lucid dreaming is that it begins with that ability to respond and to be more present and engaged in your waking life, and that's carrying over to your dream life and
wow.
naturally making you lucid while you're dreaming. You don't have to use any of these techniques that are taught, the like the wake back to bed technique, or the subconsciously programming your mind to become lucid while you're dreaming. This is happening naturally for you.
No,
Am I right?
no. Well, and I think some of that, well, it's happened naturally just over the years because of not only what I'm doing in the dream state, but between dreams. Okay, so I can say what is the salient part of that, right? It's after 3 o'clock. I can use words like that, right? Salient.
We can, yeah, you can bring
I'm
out
even
your
going to
$10
look it up
words.
later. So, what is the important part of that dream? And do I want to change it? Do I want to focus in on that? Either make it stronger or change it totally. And so that's between dreams. And then if I can bring that importance or that focus into the dream state, then it will wake me up in the middle of the dream and say, this is it. This is the point.
Okay.
Okay. So I think it is a matter of focus, intent, and importance. Because I've had lots of dreams. I mean, it's nightly where something weird happens in the dream, and it was like, whoa, this must be a dream. Okay, I'll just see where it goes. And then I jump right back into the dream, and then a couple of minutes later in the dream itself, it's like, whoa, this is a dream. This is still a dream. Okay, I'll see where it goes. But I got to tell you, if something important happens in that dream, or what I think is important, I'm gonna get more. I'll be more active. Um, I guess that's why I call it. I like to call it more active dreaming instead of lucid dreaming,
Yes.
because it's not all of a sudden now I'm awake in the dream state and then it continues on and on and on. It's like, oh, I'm awake. We'll see where it goes. Oh, I'm awake again. See if I want to change it. Oh, I'm awake again. Oh, that was good. Um,
But
so,
when you started lucid dreaming,
uh-huh.
you because you're we're talking about you for you. This is 40 more than 40 years after your first lucid dream, and you're talking about where you are at now. I can see the viewers or picture them in my mind who are going to listen to you right now, and they're going to say, "But I can't even become conscious in my dreams or lucid, let
Oh, yeah.
alone doing this funny stuff that Steve is doing." So, what would you tell them? That would how are they going to get to where you are active dreaming and not really even trying to be lucid? It's just happening naturally for you.
One is, and I use the word importance. What is one image or one event in the dream that you want to, because, and this is assuming that people remember their dreams. Um,
So, lesson number one, kids, remember and write down your dreams to
yes,
engage more with it so that you improve that memory and ability to be in the dream state and be able to focus on what's happening there. And it
yes,
begins, the practice for this is to write down your dreams and remember them, of course. Okay,
yes.
so
So, and
continue.
what is something that's important? Oh, let me close my email so it doesn't ding all the time. There. Ah,
I
um,
have a cat that's been sleeping all morning that decided as soon as I hit record that he's going to take the little plastic cap and knock it all over the room like a hockey puck. So
hmm, sounds like fun.
we're
I
having one of
hope.
those days over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking. So far, so good.
Okay.
You know, he
Yeah.
or she is off screen.
Oh, I
So
hear
what
him
is
though. Yeah. All
so
right.
what is
So
what is the importance? Um, and now, even if we do not remember our dreams, we can focus on something of importance in our life and say, and just I go to sleep and say, what do you feel about this? What do you feel about this? Not what's going to happen, because the future is malleable. Oh, there's another word, but it's after 3:30,
so
so I can use that.
we have
Okay.
salient and
Um,
malleable now.
whoa, look out. So, what's important to me? What do I feel about this? Not what's going to happen in the future, because the future can change, but presently, or what do I need to know about this situation, or what's important about this situation, or what do I feel about this situation? And just to go to sleep, just repeating that. It's a matter of focus. Um, and, we can pray all we want, but I ask a question and I expect an answer, damn it. Okay. Um, so, what's important about this? What do I feel about this? Even what do you feel about it? And all of a sudden, then a different part of me can start getting involved.
So
Um,
when you say you mean something deeper within you that you're interacting with in the
yes,
dream state.
yes,
That
as I'm talking to myself, there's a me and there's a you. Lots of times in the dream,
yeah,
as an observer, there's me that is observing the me or the you that's in the dream.
yeah.
There is that separation. Okay, so if that's a separation, you go for it. Um, you
And this
nurture it.
is the when you say the you, this is also the you that knows where that this house that you're going to move to, it somehow knows what's going on in the future, or at least what the possibilities are. But the you who's sitting here with us right now doesn't consciously know this information. So when you say you in the second person, this other part of you, you're referring
Yes,
to the you that you're interacting with in the dream state that appears to be
yes, yes,
a larger field of consciousness that can is aware of more information than what you know consciously. And the way that you're accessing this part of yourself is by following your feelings and asking questions with the expectation that it will be answered.
yes. Or
Okay.
uh, maybe communicating to that part of me or to you in the dream with the expectation that it's actually going to listen. Okay. Where,
Yeah.
which could be a,
Yeah.
s- a stretch. um, just like in waking life, we might get a lot of guidance, but do we actually listen? You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Can I
and
share something real quick about that? An experience that I had since the last time we talked
well,
and did
I
lesson number
guess
one?
so.
I gotta get a moment in here. Well, it goes right in with what you're talking about. I had an experience where I was in my hometown on vacation back in June, and I was looking for the lost parts of myself. So I was doing soul retrieval, and
Yeah.
I was reading the book by Robert Moss, Dreaming the Soul Back Home. And he gave an exercise where he said, ask, where are you? Where are you? Say it different ways. Do it before you go to bed. Expect that you're going to get an answer. Now, here I am as someone who's studied dreams, dream analysis, dream interpretation, and I'm now getting into some of this other fun exploration and lucid, question and answers with my dreams. But I'm not to the point yet where I expect answers because I don't have a history of my dreams responding in the way that I hope
Uh
that they
huh.
will. I had a dream that night. I was a caretaker for a Japanese prince and he was missing. And I went and searched in the river to find him. And I emerged from the river and I had scars all over my back and I couldn't find him. And I woke up out of the dream and I said, wow, that was a response to my question from last night. And then I repeated the question while I was awake in that liminal state between sleep and awake. I'd just woken
Yes.
up and I said, "Where are you?" And Steve, right behind my ear, I heard a boy's voice and he goes, "I'm here." And ever since then, I've had this connection with him from, he was a character that was in the dream who was an answer or a response to what
Yes.
I requested. And now I'm interacting with him. He's right here. So it's like he's this living part of myself has now made itself aware to me. And it all began with asking the question and then getting a response. And now I feel more confident in being in asking questions presently in the future of my dreams and getting a response from them.
Well,
Now, can you equate that to lucid dreaming, that maybe this creates a foundation for expecting that if I say, "Hey, tonight I would love to have a lucid experience in my dreams, and I'm going to request this, I'm going to ask for this experience," that maybe it's more likely as you do this kind of work that it will actually happen?
I here's the catch. I don't know if I ever or rarely ask for a lucid dream or a lucid experience.
Yeah.
I Again, I attach something important like I'd like to meet with this part of myself again, rather than I'd like to have a lucid dream,
Okay.
or I'd like to communicate to this part, or I'd like to spend time with. I want to spend time with this part, and attach the importance to that, and then since you've already opened the doorway to that relationship, and that relationship does reflect lucid dreaming, then the dream will, odds are, the dream will become more lucid as time goes on, rather than I'd like to have a lucid dream. I'd
Yeah.
like to have a lucid dream. Again, for me, my goal isn't my goal isn't lucid dreaming. My goal is learning or experiencing something. And if it's important enough to the different parts of my psyche, if it's important enough to me, then the lucidity follows.
Yeah. This is what happened to me, Steve, is I would request, I was doing this thing, it's on precognitive dreaming back in the beginning of the year, and it was part of a course through Mindfunda. She's a lady, she's a Jungian psychologist who teaches that you can look ahead to the year coming up. And
Yeah.
over 12 nights, you dream about what's going to happen in each month, January, February, March. Well,
Oh,
now we're
wow.
dreaming about this. And it's really interesting. And I would see the responses that people gave in from years past, that these people would have these very, powerful dreams that would show them what was going to come up in the future. They didn't often know it when they first wrote down the dream. It was on
Sure.
hindsight. What had happened to me is I ended up dreaming about the crap that I was dealing with right there that day. I wasn't having any precognitive dreams. I was requesting these experiences, but what my dreaming mind was delivering to me, it seemed to say, "We've got some other priorities for you right now.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got all these emotions stuffed up in you, or
So here's the catch. You could go into the dream state asking for help on that daily garbage.
yeah,
And then you can actually cover both. If this is the person or the aspect of you in the dream that's there to help you with that, then he'll show up.
yeah,
You can have your cake and eat it too. Um, you
okay,
really you
yeah,
really can. Instead of asking for a lucid dream, I'm going to ask for clarity on an issue, or I'm going to ask for guidance on an issue, or I'm going to ask for guidance on a feeling or an experience, and then number one, you're projecting the importance into the dream, and you're leaving it open for the awareness to come.
okay.
Okay, but yeah, just to ask for the lucid dream, yeah, yeah. Good luck with that one. I've been there, done that, and failed miserably.
Okay. Well, thank you for the openness on that, because I started to feel kind of discouraged that night after night I would go to bed doing all the, I'm looking at my hands and noticing all the details. This is something you taught me to do, so that
Yeah,
when you get into the dream state, you'll notice your hands and go, oh wait, I'm dreaming. Wait, where did that extra finger come from? Oh, I must be
yeah,
dreaming, because in ordinary life, I look at my hand and I only see four fingers and a thumb, right? Well, where did those extra fingers come from? Or why do I have Freddy hands, Freddy fingers that are this long, uh, so I was getting a little bit discouraged, because night after night I would try this, and only once in a while would I have a lucid experience that I could remember. And oftentimes they were brief. I would
uh-huh.
be able to fly, but very quickly I would get back. I would be flying around for a minute, be like, hey, yay. And then, oh, back into ordinary dreaming. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
lucid state went away real quick. Um, which brings up something that I think dovetails with what we've been talking about. And I'd like to ask you about this. The last experience I had where I became lucid in a dream, there was suddenly a woman who appeared in front of me that I recognize as a recurring dream character. And she was just sitting there smiling at me. And I focused on her face. I looked in real close, like
Uh-huh.
I wanted the dream to render more detail of her face, because when she appears in my dreams, she's often just kind of amorphous. It's not real well defined what she looks like. So I
Uh-huh.
looked in real closely at her face, and I woke up with the feeling of still being connected with her. And what I've been doing since then is I've realized that in my dream state, I'm I want to, the thing that is helping me to become more lucid in general, not just in my dream state, but in my waking life, is this relationship I have to her. Because I think that she's a
Uh-huh.
representation of us. I think she's a soul figure, and that I'm feeling this connection with her in body, because now through my left hand, I can reach out mentally and feel like I'm holding her hand. And it's
Oh,
helping me to get this connection, this feeling with this part of me that seems to exist only in my mind and in my dreams. I'll call her a soul figure,
yeah, well,
but it's
a
helping
real
me by
gray
thinking
area
of having
there,
a
only in my
relationship.
mind and in my dreams.
Yeah.
Um, I would reprogram. I'd become an active participant in that dream two ways. One, I would program on my way to sleep that I can see her more clearly. I can see her more clearly. I might even, if I were you, I know this is a little kinky here, but you can actually hold your own hand on your way to sleep, um, to bring, yes, to bring the feeling, to bridge the gap between waking
Yep.
and dreaming,
And you just
to
hit the
bridge
right
the
word,
gap.
because it's feeling based. Here I am going through all these mental exercises, and what was really getting me into the deeper layer or level of dreaming, the active participating, being an active participant in my dreams, was actually through the feeling connection with her. That's what really made me become lucid in the dream. Was, I look at her and I'm like, wow, you're hot, and she's given me this really big smile. And I want to connect with her because the smile is inviting.
Uh
It's,
huh.
it's like, it's saying, let's connect. And of course, my mind kind of went, well, I'd love to connect with you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it made me a little bit at that point, it kind of distracted me away from the true connection, which was trying to be established there, which was through feelings and not just through lust. for lack of
Well,
better words. It's probably the
so
best word.
yeah,
There's a
well, no,
there's
lust is
another
a
big
pretty good
word.
descriptor there.
Yeah. Well, it was, and it took over the dream state. It because I was lucid and starting to participate. Become active and participating with her, and then this other priority kind of kicked in, and it distracted me out of that lucid state in the dream. It was almost like she said, I'll come back when you are ready. Right now, your base sacral chakra is taking over
Yeah,
this
yeah,
experience that we're having, and so that's why ever since then I have been picturing her in my mind, and not just picture. It's not just a mental picture; it's a feeling. And I've been trying to
yeah.
reach out through my left hand because that's where I kind of made connection with her, where I felt it coming in through the left side of my body. And
Uh-huh.
I felt that connection with her. And that's what I've been trying to do is reinforce it multiple times a day. Just remember, take a moment, relax,
Yes.
and remember that she's there.
Well, and I would like to add something to that. Yeah, just multiple times a day, bring back the feeling, okay, and not necessarily the base chakra feelings, that's first and second. Although, that's, if it's symbolic, then we can make love to that part of ourselves. But really, just bring back the feeling of wholeness,
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's the sense that I get, that you feel whole
Yep.
when you're with
Yep.
her, or to bring back that sense of peace while you're with
Yeah.
her.
That was
Um,
another feeling that came out very strongly through that interaction with her.
you
I
know,
felt
so
good,
so then
like connected.
if you want to interact with her again, then it's not necessarily reprogramming, going back into the dream state, asking to see her, but it's going back, reaffirming the peace and the wholeness. Okay, just like when I ask for a lucid dream, I might not get it, but when I ask to experience something, I have a better shot at having a lucid dream. You don't go into the dream asking for her. You go into the dream asking for the feelings that come along with her, and then you have a better shot of her showing up.
Yep. Yep. And
Okay.
Steve, this is not what I see in when I've read lots of books about lucid dreaming and, read interviews. And there are a lot of, this is kind of a cottage industry now, people who are teaching lucid dreaming. And I don't hear this kind of advice. What I hear are the techniques and the steps and the,
Yeah,
wake up and take
that's nice.
galantamine and, but they're not talking about having a feeling relationship with yourself that carries over into the dream state and naturally leads to more active participation in the dream state, which naturally leads to greater lucidity.
Well, yeah, because if the dream state is, and I use this word loosely, the subconscious communicating with us, and I say with instead of to, but with, then as I develop a relationship with my subconscious, then it can communicate more clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes both ways. I've done all the tricks. I've done all the techniques, not all of them obviously, because I got bored when they didn't work.
Uh huh.
Oh, I mean, I would try and I would try, and I'd end up staying awake a lot longer than I wanted to and end up with a headache. I was like, oh, the heck with this. And then all of a sudden, I got a lucid dream, you know? So, yeah, to me, what's the point of lucid dreaming? What are you going to do with it?
And then how does it, what are you getting out of it? How, and it seems that the lucid side of the mind, this part of the mind that's producing dreams, it has an agenda for
Yeah.
wholeness and growth of you. And so when you align yourself consciously with those goals, then it's better able to respond and help you towards it because now you're working together towards the same goals because that's what its agenda is. And we talked about this a little bit in lesson number one, was that a lot of people treat lucid dreaming like climbing Mount Everest. It's something that they want to conquer. And
Yeah.
so they program their mind. They do all this really intense, concentrated sort of, I will lucid dream, I will lucid dream. And then they have that experience, and now they can, check it off on the list of things that they've conquered. And what you're talking about seems to be more of that you want to align yourself with what this part of yourself wants, which is growth and
Yes.
wholeness and relationship. It seems
And
like if you want to conquer something, it's not a way of going about a relationship. Instead, it's more of a back and forth, like talking with instead of talking to.
that's right. It's an
Okay.
interaction, which again is why I call it active dreaming. If I want to do active dreaming with the goal of becoming more clear or more peaceful or more aware, whatever else, that's the real goal, is to be clearer or more peaceful or more aware. And
Yeah.
I like what you said. Well, the act of dreaming can have the same goal as me. And when we align those goals, then it happens. It just happens. It, phew. So just like when I said to you, well, you might not want to program the dream state to meet that woman again, because that woman, really what you want to meet her for is for the peace and the wholeness. So focus on the peace and the wholeness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like when because I do some deep trance channeling and I have a couple of guides and they have specific names. I got to say, I don't call on them. I call on the light. Why do I want to call on them? So I can channel spirit and that loving or that extended energy through to other people. So that's what I'm going to focus in on. And then whatever guide comes up or whatever spirit comes up at the time, that's what appears.
So you're
Um,
talking, when you say guide, you're talking about spirit guides.
yes,
And
spirit guide.
it seems like that what you're saying is that when you go into something with the right intent, that they show up naturally because they want to support you in that. You're
In that
there to be
time,
able to help
yes,
people and channel information that's helping them with their life and, of course, their health, with their growth, their development, dealing with maybe problems or issues they're having in their life. You are there to help them, and the spirit guides show up automatically because, hey, that's their thing. That's
yeah,
why that's their
that's a good
mission.
goal. I'm gonna help them out on that.
So now we can
Um,
carry that over to lucid dreaming because you're showing up in the dream state with the right intent to have deeper relationship with yourself, to get information maybe that will help you and others, to have experiences that will help you to grow and develop as a person, which naturally makes you more effective at helping other people.
yes,
And so
so
you show up with that intent, and the dreaming mind does the rest of the work. You don't have to do all these crazy techniques to become lucid. It happens naturally because that part of your mind is supporting you because you have a mutual goal now. Is that
yes,
okay?
yes, it's like when I first met one of my totems, the deer. I didn't program the sleep, the dream. I'm going to meet my power animal. I'm going to meet my totem. I programmed it. Again, I was camping alone in the middle of nowhere with no one around for miles. And I went back and I said, please let my subconscious warn me if there's any danger to my physical body. It was important to me. you know,
Yeah,
I,
you're
I
out in the
thought,
wilderness and you're camping with, in a tent in the middle of nowhere, and there could be wild animals out there that
yeah,
show up
so
and, they want to eat you.
and that's when a deer showed up in my sleep to wake me up to a danger.
Yeah.
But
And
when
what was
I
that?
but
What was that danger? Wasn't there something, a bear or something that was lurking around?
well, again, in the dream I was running away from this big buck, and he treed me, and he was pounding on the tree, and I was kicking him away, and he was pounding and I was kicking him, and I woke up and there was nothing, well, except for the knife that I had in my hand. um, and
Yeah.
And then I felt stupid after a few minutes, and then I was just absently scratching my navel and pulled a tick out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your body was recognizing that there was a danger, because if that tick burrows into your navel, that's going to be hard to get out. It could
Yes,
lead
yes.
to an
So
infection.
that's the
So
danger. So,
yeah.
but then I spent the next few nights trying to reconnect with my deer. No, I didn't have any success, you know.
Well,
Um,
think about the antlers of the buck and the tentacle, or the long, when you're dealing with a tick, it's got these long, sharp antler like things that dig in, and then
yes.
it burrows into your body. So it sounds to me like the buck was a representation of what your body was picking up from the feeling of that tick starting to embed itself into your navel.
And that could have been the symbolic part, you know. And yet it was about 3 weeks later when I realized that I felt a little bit trapped in a relationship that I had been in, and that she was hounding me and chasing me. And it's like, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with this? And that's where the deer showed up again. It's like, oh, welcome back. I better pay attention to this dream. And the deer nodded, you know? Um,
Yeah. Well,
yes,
he already had you up the tree in the previous dream.
that's
If you
right.
want to
So
analyze some symbolism, we can run with that for a minute, because
you bet. Yes,
you're trying to run from something that you didn't want to realize, or didn't want to fully acknowledge that you
yes,
needed to get out
yes.
of that relationship. All
And
right.
well, and I did, you know? Um, Yeah, I did. So it's like, well, now that it's got my attention, it doesn't have to get my attention anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it'll just show up. Um, Another time when I was living up in New England, and I felt like it was time to move, and I wanted to move back out to Colorado, and I felt trapped again. I guess it's that feeling of being trapped, and all of a sudden the deer show up in my dream, you know, and say there's a smell in the air that'll bring you back to Colorado. I was like, oh yeah. Well, first of all, it must be a dream since deer don't usually talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I thanked them. I thanked them very much, and then on my way walking back to my bed, okay, I had to step over my dog who was sleeping on the floor, and it was like, well, that dog died 2 years ago. Okay, well, we'll just go with it. Okay. Uh,
But it's
when
making
I,
you aware that you're dreaming, because you're
yes, and then
recognizing
the
these
end of the
things.
dream, I was getting back into bed, and that's when I woke up.
Ah, uh-huh.
You know, so we talk about, you know, sometimes astral traveling, leaving our body and then coming back. But I've tried to astral travel, and again, all I've gotten is a headache.
Uh-huh.
But,
I get
but,
a big ringing in my ears and a feeling of being out of sorts. Like I've,
yeah,
you know,
well, well, what is astral travel? Astral travel is keeping your consciousness while you leave your body. And active dreaming is leaving your body and then getting the consciousness.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a real gray line there sometimes between the lucid dreaming and the astral travel.
And
Um,
what I've been told is that there are levels of, that you go from ordinary dreaming to lucid dreaming to astral dreaming, or dream walking is what it's called in some traditions. And you're actually
mhm.
in the lucid state is a subjective out of body. You're still connected to your body. You're out of it in the sense that your consciousness is disconnected and able to
Yes,
go into a reality that you are basically programming subconsciously to interact with. The astral dreaming state is
is
not
one step
subjective,
further.
it's objective. And that you can actually be like out of your body and look down at yourself sleeping and see the position that you're in and see what's going on in the room. And then you can leave that space and actually see what's going on around you as it is actually happening in The
in the
physical
present moment.
material reality.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Well,
but but just like sometimes when you're doing ordinary dreaming and then you lucid dream and then you get back into ordinary dreaming and then you lucid dream and get back. Sometimes when you're lucid dreaming, you get into the astral travel and then get back into the lucid dreaming and then back into the astral travel and then the lucid dreaming.
well,
Um,
I want to set you up for our next lesson. Is I would like to talk about the levels of dreaming, and you're talking about a lucid level, then an astral level, and there are other levels that I've become aware of through the teachings of some people who've experienced them. A friend of mine says that there is a precognitive level that he can interact with and actually change what's going to happen in the future by changing what happens in the dream when he runs across something that he either wants to avoid it because it's not a good outcome, or he likes what the dream is showing him and he wants to
yes.
make it become real in his reality. He actually interacts with it in what he calls the precognitive lucid level, and it makes it actually happen, materialize in his physical life, usually in the near future, usually within a day or two of when he's dreamed about it, and interacts with it. And he says
Well,
that what he's actually doing is programming the reality that he experiences in the
yes,
future.
we're
He's
not only
programming it in the
programming
dream
the
state.
dream, we're programming the reality. Just
And
like
now
when
we
I
get
was,
into these two
yes,
sides. What's the dream and what's the reality?
when I was caught up in that web and looking for a place and looking for a house and looking for a house, and then I woke up in the dream and said, "Wait a second, this, I don't need to be dreaming this. I don't need to be doing this." Um, the very next day, my wife comes up with a property to look at, right? In
Yeah.
that same area. We start following it up. We take a look at another one. We're going to take a look at a third one. And it's like, wait a second. I don't need to be doing this. Okay, so I wouldn't get caught in the web in the waking life.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. You get up to three properties to look at, and now I can see this web forming, and you are getting stuck in the middle of it. And then there's all these strands going off. Well, what's the right house? Is it in the
Yeah.
right place? Is it the
No,
right price? Is this the right time?
you
And
got
it
it.
becomes a web. Ah,
Been there, done
very,
that. Got the T-shirt. Don't need to do it again.
yeah. I see. Well, what
Yeah.
I'd like to do then is give us, we're going to, I think we just gave a good preview of where we can go in lesson number 3, is to talk about the layers and levels of dreaming that you are actually interacting with, in obviously in a dream state. We're also
Yes.
looking at our waking lives as being part of this web that's interacting with the dream state also in the various levels of the dream state, and that you are actually interacting. You don't have to be asleep and dreaming to interact with these places
That's
that
right.
are okay. This is
That's right.
really interesting. It's very
So
different from a lot of the teachings on lucid dreaming.
no, it's not only bringing the waking consciousness into the dreaming consciousness, but bringing the dreaming consciousness back out into the waking
Waking
consciousness.
consciousness. Okay.
It's the relationship. It's an interaction.
All right.
Um, so
Well,
and and then I know we're out of time, but I have a wonderful story.
let's do it. Let's hear it.
I had a dream that I was in somebody else's dream. That he was dreaming and I was watching his dream. And I
Yep.
knew that it was a lucid dream. It was like, whoa, this isn't even my dream. This is his dream, and I'm just watching. And here he was chasing after this woman who was like real beautiful as all get out. And he was
Uh,
lusting after her and whatever else. And then one of his spirit teachers was flying or floating next to me and said, now watch. And she said, now watch. And it was like an old wise woman. And the woman that he was chasing in the dream became this old wise woman, and he totally ignored her.
Uh, well,
and
we
and
we know
all
what he was after.
and all the visionary wise woman said to me was, all she said was, first, now watch, and then remember. And at the end of
Uh,
the dream, so I talked to him the next day. This was one of my co-dreamers. I talked to him the next day. I said, I was in a dream of yours last night. Well, I was sort of watching. He says, yeah. He says, yeah, I was wondering what you were doing there. You were just hovering around the ceiling.
uh, so that also opens up another possibility for what we can talk about, and I just made a note of it here. Is that you one of these levels of dreaming appears to be a shared level of dreaming where you can enter into other people's dreams, and you've told me in the past about some of these experiences you've had with
Yeah.
this,
It,
and we can
it's,
go into that in the next lesson.
oh, good, because I also teach that, and people, for the most part, get it. They get
Okay.
it. You
Well,
know,
speaking of, Steve, why don't you tell people how to get a hold of you? Because after they watch this video, they might be interested in some
um,
training where you can go into depth with them on these and maybe even share dreams with them, which you've done with me
uh-huh.
remotely, where we've met up in the dream state before. And I tell you, I didn't think that stuff was real before experiencing it with you, and we did it, and it's real. So yeah, why don't you tell them
Yeah,
how to get a
yeah.
hold of you?
Well, my website is
Dot
creativethought.org.
org. Yep.
Yes. The other option is to just do a computer search on my name.
Spell it out
I
for
know
us.
I do
Actually,
it when I,
I'll put a graphic up with your name and
yes, Stephen Rogat. I know I do it when I'm feeling depressed, and it's like, oh, I got 2,500 hits on that. Oh, I guess I must be important.
you're validated by Google, right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
uh,
Or Chrome or Bing or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah.
Google
Big
is a
brother.
verb now. It's an official verb.
Yeah, I hear it used all the time, and it's a little
It's
disturbing if you ask me, but
so,
we'll go with it.
but creativethought.org, classes, books, services, whatever else, or you just Google my name, Stephen Rogat, and one of the first things you'll get is probably my website anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So
So,
creativethought.org, and you are available for one on one training. You do monthly trance channeling sessions.
yes, monthly trans
Yeah.
channeling, one on one, phone in person or over the computer. Or actually, I have been teaching classes too. If somebody has, 3 or 4 people and they want to do a class, it's like, okay, let's schedule it,
Right on. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So, this has been wonderful. I look forward to continuing with this.
Me too.
Um,
Me too.
so to me, it feels really good to share. So I'm going to bring that feeling into my dreams tonight and hopefully wake up because it's important enough to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
So,
is to me too. So I'll see you there, brother.
okay. Okay. It's
Yeah.
a deal.